So now we're going to go over the equipment. One thing before we get started I want you to know is that knowing product knowledge is important. However, knowing too much can sometimes be an issue. We're going to talk about the equipment. However, we're going to talk very briefly about each piece of equipment. We're going to understand the basics of how it operates, and that is all you need to know because that is all you need to explain to the customer. So this is the Impasa panel. This is going to be the panel that we provide to our customers. Now, some of the things that I do want to mention about this panel is pretty much the user friendliness of it. You're going to see here you have your emergency buttons. This is where you can go, you can hold down a button for medical, fire, or police, whichever municipality you need. Another great feature of this panel is the two-way voice capability. This is a huge selling point. Two-way voice, I can't stress enough what huge of a selling point this is. The two-way voice is a built-in pretty much communication system within the panel itself, which allows one of our live ADT agents to communicate through the panel to the customer. So let's say, for example, you're not home. Well, you're not home, a burglar comes into your home. Well, immediately ADT is going to come over to the panel here and they're going to say, state your name and password. 1, 2, 3. If no response or the wrong name and password is given, then they're going to say you're an intruder, get out of the house, the police are here in the neighborhood, they'll be here momentarily, and that's going to scare the intruder out of the house every single time. Another great selling feature of the two-way voice is also the medical aspect. Say you have a child, the child falls, busts his head open, you don't know what to do. Well, typically you'd have to pick up a phone and call 911. And on average, they ask you 14 questions. On average, a 911 operator will ask you 14 questions. Now, time is precious with your kids. So what you would do is you would come over here to the panel, you would hit the emergency medical button, and then immediately we would dispatch the ambulance as well as ask you what your emergency is. And we would then put a trained EMT through the panel to walk you through exactly what to do. If someone's in the house, they have a heart attack, you don't know how to do CPR, then we'll walk you through how to do that. Another great selling feature of this is the verbal chime. Now, the verbal chime, instead of when you open a door just going beep, 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 it'll actually tell you front door open, back door open, side door open, garage door open, so on and so forth. So this panel in itself has a lot of protection that it can provide, and again, the number one selling feature on this panel is going to be that two-way voice. I can't stress that enough. Again, do some independent research on the two-way voice communication, how it's helped people, how it's saved lives, and use that as a major selling point. That's one of the number one selling points for this system, is the two-way voice communication. Now, this is the door contact. The door contacts, how they work, it's very easy to understand. There's two magnets included in the sensor, and they're placed a short distance apart. Now, one of the magnets is actually placed on the door, while the other is usually placed on the door frame itself. The magnets need to be spaced properly by the technician. You don't have to worry about this, in order to ensure that they have a magnetic connection. So the sensor actually monitors the integrity of the connection between the two spaced magnets. So it can tell that another magnet is near. And if that connection is broken, such that it no longer senses that magnetic connection, then the sensor is going to be triggered and the signal will be sent back to the panel, which will be processed as an alert, and an alarm will then be sent from the panel to our monitoring center. Now, this is the motion detector. It does just what it says. It detects motion. Apparent motion is detected when an infrared source with one temperature, such as a wall, this is not to say the sensor detects the heat from the object passing in front of it, but that the object breaks the field which the sensor has determined is kind of a normal state. So, if it sees the room, it's going to interpret that room as a normal state, and any object, even one exactly the same temperature as the surrounding objects, will cause the motion detector to activate if it moves in the field of the sensors. The motion detector, a lot of people ask you the range on them. Typically, any living room you place this in, it's going to be able to see the entire living room. A lot of times down the hallway, there's really not going to be a residential house you're going to be signing up that's going to not be in range of this motion detector. It's a great sense of protection. It creates an internal trap zone within the large room of the house, usually the living room, And we don't contact the windows anymore. Reason being is burglars, they look for those window contacts. When they see them, they don't raise the window and separate the contacts. They just bust the glass, bring the glass out and climb through, and they bypass that contact because the window is not opening and the contacts aren't separating. So with a motion detector, this creates an internal trap zone. So if someone does come in through a window, as soon as they step foot in the home, in the field of view of this motion detector, it's going to pick them up, send a signal to the panel, and will receive an alarm. So this is a smoke and heat detector. It detects smoke and it detects heat. It doesn't get too much simpler than that. So it detects smoke. It also detects a 15-degree rise in temperature within 1 minute. So it detects both of those things. Now, why have a monitored smoke and heat detector? Well, most of the smoke detectors now, people don't replace the batteries on them. And not only that, if you're sleeping, the fire starts in your home, well, the fumes and the gas from the fire will make its way down the hallway to the bedroom. You will inhale that. You'll go into a deep sleep. You don't wake up, and then there you have it. That's how you hear about people burning up in their sleep, because the fume, the toxic, poisonous gases get to them, puts them in a deep comatose state. They just don't wake up. They don't hear that smoke alarm going off, and also a lot of times if you're not home, your house catches on fire. Your neighbors won't hear your smoke alarm. They're going to wait till they see flames shooting out of your windows or see a ton of smoke from the house before they call the fire department. So what's great about having a monitored smoke and heat detector is that as soon as that smoke is detected or as soon as that rise of temperature is detected, we will immediately dispatch the fire department to the home. Now this is the keyless remote. This allows you to arm and disarm your security system by the simple touch of a button. You see here it has a little man inside of a house and a little man walking out of the house right here. And you see stay mode and away mode. Stay mode, you'll arm your system in stay mode when you're in the house. This is going to arm your doors, however it's not going to arm your motion detector or else it would pick you up. You also see away mode. Well, when you hit away mode, it arms your doors and your motion. You'll also see it has a disarm feature here. By holding this down, they can disarm the security system. And it also has a panic feature, which can allow them to send a panic signal to the police department when they're within range of their home. This doesn't work away from the home. They have to be, at their home because it only works up to around 200 feet from the house is a good guesstimate to the range you can give them. That's a safe guesstimate as well. So feel free to give them that. So the key fob is great. People love it. They don't have to worry about coming into the home, punching in their 4-digit code, and having to put down the groceries, handle the kids, all that good stuff. This makes it really simple to use. Elderly, our elderly customers, they love the key fob. They love to use this. It makes their security system very easy to use. So now I want to go over the point system. What does this equipment cost? Well, we sell basic equipment. We do have more equipment available, and if a customer asks you about that when you're in the field, be sure to give me a call and we'll go over that. But for training purposes, we're going to cover our major selling, the equipment that we sell the most here. So our equipment works off of a point system. Each point is worth $60, and that's the cost to the customer. That's what they have to pay for this. We won't take $50, we won't take $40. They have to pay the retail price, which is $60 per point. Now you don't need to go over the point system with the customer. The point system is for you to help you remember the price of equipment. Here's an easy way to remember it. Anything without the word detector in it, such as door contact, key fob, panic button, well, all those things are worth 1 point, and so they cost $60 a piece. Anything with the word detector in it will cost 2 points, which will be $120 a piece. So a motion detector would be $120. Carbon monoxide detector would be $120. A smoke detector would be $120, and so on and so forth. So again, our equipment works off of a point system. Anything with the word detector in it is typically worth 2 points, which is $120 cost to the customer. Anything without that is going to be 1 point, which will be $60 cost to the customer. So, what is the cost to you if you choose to give away a piece of equipment for free? Well, you're going to be charged, pretty much almost what we're charged. 1 point is equal to $30 cost to you, the representative. So if you choose to give away, for example, a free door contact, your cost deducted from your commission will not be $60, it will only be $30. So it pretty much cuts the point in half. The points are cut in half as a cost to you. So in other words, if you give away a free motion detector, it won't cost you 120, it will cost you 60. So the points to you are worth half, which means, $30 per point. Now, how do you make commission on extra equipment? Well, it's very simple. You have the cost to you, which is $30 per point, and then you have cost to the customer, which is $60 per point. Well, if you sell a door contact, for example, it costs the customer $60. So the customer's going to pay that $60. Well, there's a $30 profit that's made there because the cost to you as a representative is only $30. Well, we split that earning with you so we can make extra money on the equipment as well. So we split that earning with you, so you get $15 commission on a door contact, 15 on a key fob, 30 on a motion detector, 30 on a carbon monoxide detector, and 30 on a smoke detector. Now, you also keep 100% of what you charge above retail price. Some of the things I like to do is I love to charge $200 for the smoke detector. It's an easy upsell. You can very easily get $200 for the smoke detector. Well, you're immediately going to make your $30 commission off of it, plus you're going to get the $80 that you sold above retail price of the $120. So your total commission off of a smoke detector you would sell for $200 would be $110. So make sure to try to upsell your equipment. It's a great way to make extra cash on every deal. And I know that $110 doesn't sound like a lot of money, but if you sell a smoke detector for $200 with every deal, and you do 6 deals a week, well, then you're at an extra $600 a week just from upselling the smoke detector. So keep those small things in mind when you're out there selling, because they can really add up and really help take your check to the next level. Another good upsell is the carbon monoxide detector. I sell it all the time for $200, and another good upsell is the key fob. I sell it all the time for $100. I try not to push $200 because it kind of seems a little bit too iffy for the customer when I start charging too much for that. So I sell the key fob all the time for $100. That's an easy upsell. Reason being is, if you go try to replace the key fob on your car, it's going to cost you upwards of $200, $300 to replace that. So again, if you upsold the key fob for $100, you would get the $40, which is the 100% of above retail price, plus the $15, you'd make a $55 commission.